All right. What is up, everybody? Welcome to episode 200, our 200th episode celebration of Let Me Get That Potograph. Of course, as always, my name is Drew, or the DH, and joining me, that dude over there, Scott Rappaport. What's up, dude?
What's up, man? Dude, we have got a show that is so special that we didn't even need a countdown for it.
No, not
We've got
even
a show that is so special that Drew took the short bus to the studio tonight.
Wait, that's
Dude.
normal. That's normal.
we have got some awesome guests coming up. We're going to bring a couple of them in here in a second.
Yes.
We have got some amazing topics to talk about. We have
a giveaway to do.
Giveaway to do. We got some wild stuff that's going to go on tonight. It's going to be unpredictable. It's going to be a lot of fun. So, Drew, why don't we go ahead and kick things off? Let's introduce two of our guests. We'll have more joining us a little bit later. But the first two guys that we have here in the room, let's go ahead and bring them in.
Mr. Ezra Levine. What's up, Ezra?
Guys, how are we tonight?
Doing good, doing good.
Yeah. Thank you for staying up past your bedtime this evening for us.
Of course.
Yeah, we'll try not to keep you up too late.
Yeah. Feel free whenever it's time for bed. I know that feeling. I have kids too, so I get it.
Yep.
And then also joining us right now, we've got the man himself, Denny from Denny Cards. What is up, man?
Up, dog.
I ain't falling for that one, man.
Nope.
Office fans.
Oh,
I'm just here now to get fined. Thank you for having me.
Wonderful. I love it. Wouldn't expect any less. But thank you guys so much for joining us for the show today. Like we said, guys, tonight, different episode. If you guys have seen our celebration episodes before, they're just a lot of fun. We talk the hobby. We have a little fun. We like to get to know some people and, have some new people on. We've got some returning guests on, a lot of different things. But thank you guys so much for coming on the show today. But Ezra, let's kick it off, Scott, because I know we've got some stuff in the works.
Stuff in the works. Was talking to Ezra this afternoon, and come to find out that you and Mascot have a big announcement that you're making today. So let's just jump right into it. What have you got for us?
Yeah, look, since our last time we spoke, it's been, I think, about 2 months since I last came on the show. We've been busy, certainly. Tonight, we announced a very big partnership. We're very excited by it. So we partnered up with CGC to create what we believe to be the fastest grade-to-sell journey this industry has probably ever seen. So how it's going to work is submitters to CGC on their order submission form will essentially be able to click one button, add to Mascot. Mascot will read the serial numbers and pick up the high-res imagery directly from CGC, which will pull directly into your Mascot account. And then with one click of a button, the submitters CGC can instantly list their items for sale right off the grading room across all of Mascot's integrated sales channels. So a pretty cool integration. We think, again, it probably is the fastest, most convenient sort of grade-to-sell journey this industry has seen. And we think, by doing these partnerships, right, we really want to just remove friction. We want to reduce friction in this industry. And we think this is a really cool application for that.
No, that's awesome. I love it. I think that's brilliant. When we had you on right before you guys launched Mascot and everything, we talked about the capabilities and what could be next. And I didn't really think about that as an option, to be quite honest. That wasn't something that really crossed my mind. And I love the idea. Like you said, especially with Mascot being a platform that's meant to obviously sell cards. You can inventory your PC there as well, and it's excellent for that. But its main, and most powerful function, I would say, would be its sellability, and you're making that even easier. And partnering with CGC, they're getting a lot more cards every single month right now. That's a big one.
Yeah, and I will say I love their slabs.
Yes.
I love the, obviously there's a lot of people that are still using the PSAs, BGSs, SGCs of the world. CSG is very reputable.
Very much so.
Grading is accurate, and I would say
when I go to Collecticon, when I'm going to Denver to work it this weekend, I mean, there's a million CSG slabs. Like, they're huge in other markets. It's not just that. It's not just the cards. It's the comics. Now that everything's under one roof, from my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, Ezra, but it will allow for more than just the cards eventually, right? Like,
no, and that's a great point, and that's another reason why we're very excited about this partnership. We're not just trading cards, though trading cards certainly are our bread and butter where we first started. We've introduced comics, right? So CGC is sort of like the PSA for comics, right? They are by far the number one comic book grader. It also opens up other categories. I mean, they're number one in coins, or number one in stamps, or number one, just if you go down the list of other collectible categories, they are number one, right? So this really lays a pretty cool foundation for Mascot to expand into other categories, not just trading cards and comics. And, what we found with CGC, really great partners, very innovative, tech forward, really willing to, kind of invest. And again, just, sort of removing frictions from the industry. And for Mascot, one thing that we've always tried to do, right? We've always tried to be almost agnostic, right? We've tried to kind of give collectors options, which is really one of the reasons why we started this platform. People are selling across multiple channels. They're selling on eBay, they're selling on MySlabs, they're selling on a whole host of other secondary channels. We want to really just kind of augment and sort of make that whole experience very easy. So straight from CGC's grading room, you can list it right now on eBay, MySlabs, and through Shopify. And soon we're going to be integrating other channels as well that we've done partnerships with, which include Comic Connect, Veriswap, My Card Post, TikTok Shop, and a whole host of others that are soon to come. So it'll be a pretty cool thing once it's all live.
Now I gotta ask, and I don't know if you can talk about this yet, because I know you and I have had a private conversation about this, but there's a specific card show, if you know what I'm referencing, that's coming up. Is that something that you can talk about?
Are you talking about the Philly show?
I am talking about the Philly show. Yes.
Yeah. So look, I mean, I said we've been busy. We've been busy, and so one other partnership that we announced last week is with the Philly show, with Joe Drellick and his amazing team who run the Philly show, the Chantilly show, and are now the managers for the national for the next couple of years. So what we announced last week, which we're going to be rolling out for the December Philly show, is Mascot will be powering the trade floor. What does that mean, right? So it means that vendors and dealers who set up at the show can upload their sports card and non-sports card graded inventory to Mascot. And then Mascot will essentially have a front-end website where people who are at the show can discover and search for what they're looking for. I can't tell you how many times at the Philly show, I was there this past weekend, where I overheard conversations. Hey, do you have this? Do you have that? Yeah. And dealers would go back and check these notebooks, or they would kind of look on their phone, or just to see what inventory they had. This will be a really cool application. So again, in a couple months at the Philly show, you will be able to, for the first time ever, I believe, publicly search the inventory that's available for sale or trade on the trade floor, all powered by Mascot. So we're really, really pumped about that. And again, I think it's just another cool application of what Mascot can do, right? It's inventory management, but also facilitates liquidity and sales across multiple ways. And obviously trade shows is a real big form of that.
Hey, Denny, I wanted to get I absolutely love that, by the way. I think that's awesome. And as someone that just set up at a card show, it would have been great to have had that inventory on there. But Denny, you today, I think actually it was today or maybe yesterday, put up a video on Instagram talking about selling cards and talking about how selling cards, and you mentioned card shows, eBay, things like that. What do you think about, this and stuff like that they've got rolling out,
I mean, here's the thing. I really don't want to steal Ezra's thunder, but I also have a really big announcement. So due to the federal government potentially shutting down and being a federal government worker, I have a new partnership with CGC as well. I am going to be their new janitor. At their facility. Really excited, guys. I don't know why you guys are laughing. It's going to be a really tough job, but someone's got to do it.
Yeah.
I'm going to make sure those floors are clean, spick and span, just waxed up to the nines. It's going to be awesome. But I just don't want anyone to trip. So I'll make sure I have those slippery floor, yellow signage out there.
Nice. Well, congratulations, Denny.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. No, but yeah, I mean, and kidding aside, like, I think a lot of what I do with my content is, I try to keep a positive spin on things, and the current situation isn't great, and I don't like to get into politics and all that, but the unfortunate thing is I will have some lapse in funding in the household for the Cards household here, and so to try to make lemons into lemonade. I've talked to Ezra's team about with Mascot about like multiple posting on eBay, and so like I don't have like my slabs and a Shopify, but just trying to maybe facilitate the selling process a little bit easier. What's really funny is with Mascot that their Instagram account was like, yeah, we will set you up with this tutorial, this demonstration, and I'm like, oh wow, it's because I'm like a content creator, I'm an influencer, and then I later realized, oh, they do this for everyone.
You are still special in my book, Denny.
Thank you. I didn't realize. I thought you were the main account for with Mascot, but I didn't realize you had a personal account. So I was like, I'm gonna give him a follow and DM you after this. But yeah, no, I haven't used it yet, right? But I look forward to seeing what the capabilities are. And yeah, I am such a collector. It still pains me selling my cards. I mean, it like, I don't know. I just I like to hoard. I'm a hoarder. I like to collect. And so,
well, I'm right there with you on that. I mean, even at the show that I just set up at where I was selling stuff, there was so much stuff that was there that I ended up not taking out of the box and putting out because I just didn't want to get rid of it, or I left it at home because I'm like, no way. I get that aspect of it.
Yeah. Have you guys, let me ask you guys, have you in a trade night scenario, like, yes, sure, with like dealers and, having table equity at a card show, but
sure.
Do you like just kind of keep your heat back home and not you just bring the like actual like just more liquid or tradable? Like I don't bring my Jordans to trade night because I don't want to get rid of them.
I don't bring a single card that I don't plan on moving. Like especially traveling with me, I'm not bringing those cards, especially the ones that mean a lot to me. I'm not bringing those cards on any airplanes and doing all that travel and all that stuff. Have TSA, have to look through my Zion cases every time I go through the airport, all that type of stuff. Like, I'll bring stuff that, like you said, is liquid that I think will move and that I'll want to move. But no, I'm not bringing my grails and stuff. Now I'll have pictures if they want to talk about it if I see something incredible, but very rarely is that.
And I'm the opposite. My PC consists of like 5 or 6 cards. Everything else is for sale.
Wow.
So I will bring anything and everything, and I don't have to worry about TSA checking my bags or anything like that because I usually just slip them a 20 and they're good.
Whoa, okay.
Cards, other things, whatever. It doesn't make a difference.
It's just bad when they want to talk to you about their collection.
I know that's the worst part.
Like, dude, I got a plane, man. I don't come to sit at the airport. I gotta go.
No, like the one thing that I wouldn't travel by plane with would be sealed wax. And I'm not, I don't have any of that because I'm a degenerate. I'm a degenerate gambler and ripper and all that kind of stuff. I can't sit on wax, but that I'd be as scared to travel with because my biggest fear would be like, okay, well, we have to open this.
They almost cut 2 Prism boxes of mine back when Prism was going for thousands, and the post-COVID era, they almost cut them, but got them not to. And now they know the value, they know what it is. I think they see it a lot more now. A lot of them are like, oh, it's just cards, or they see one of the Zion cases, and a lot of TSA agents know that a Zion case now is cards. And I think they're more aware of it now.
Although
I've had them almost tear it.
Although I do want to see what like a case or even a sealed box looks like going through the X-ray machine, mainly because I want to see if you can make out the detail on individual cards and things like that. Because you can spot, if you're looking at a box of Topps Chrome, you can see what the thick, where the thick ones are.
That's hilarious. Oh my gosh. Can we start a new grading company here? It's like TSA grading. You just pass them through and it's just giving you 3D scans.
We can sell them we can put them through Mascot. There you go.
There you go.
So somebody needs guys have done some shady crap in this industry. They've invested in presses to alter cards. I mean, it's a matter of time before somebody invests in an X-ray machine, to see if they can figure out what kind of detail you can see within a box. And that's the way you're searching cases these days. Is you don't have to open them. It's a sealed case, but
as you gentlemen know, it's a cat and mouse game. Always, it's always going to be, how do we get ahead of that fraud, and then they'll find different ways. But Ezra, like, how about you? Like, do you keep the heat back home?
It's funny. I typically do, but look, at the Philly show, I'll tell you, just on the trade nights. I mean, this trade night, which was put on by Wax Stars and eBay, there were a lot of people there. I mean, there were a lot of young kids. I traded with a kid. I think he gave me probably $2 of value, and I just gave him a 20 because I loved how he was negotiating, he was bargaining, he was really good at it too. He almost convinced me $2 card was worth $20. So it's a good sign for the hobby that when you go to these shows, no matter what city they are, how big the show is, kids are gravitating towards the industry, which no matter what politics are going on and all the stuff you hear on Instagram and the infighting and the politics. I mean, when you go to the shows, it is a bit of a reality check that, there's a much simpler way to do this, right? And it's really just have fun with the cards, have fun with the industry, have fun with, people who share a similar belief. It sounds simplistic, I know, and it's not always what gets clicks and views, but when you're in person at these shows, that is sort of what the reality is. A lot of people are not even tuned into this hobby drama.
Wait, Ezra, are you telling me that people are actually nicer in person than they are behind the phone and keyboard?
Far nicer in person. It's amazing. I know.
No way.
No, it's 100% true. The comments that I get to face are much better than what people say online and behind the keyboards. And it's all great. We don't talk about anything politics at the show. And we just we talk about the Michael Jordans and the greatest basketball player of all time, LeBron James, and I'm gonna get dragged for that, and I know, but we don't do anything. We don't talk about anything that's going on in Washington. None of that.
It's a good impression.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness.
So what we failed to mention was we have like 12 guests tonight, and most of them are my different personalities. So we just got to throw that in there.
I thought you were kicking me off now. I was like, all right, well, it was fun, but
oh no, all 12 are in this little box right here.
There you go. You should keep changing your name. I can't even do that. Yeah. Wherever that.
See, the problem is, like, if I would have to. I think I have to leave myself from the room.
Yeah.
Do that. But
yeah.
So either way, but it's it's good. But okay, so. While you guys are here, we got to bring this up because we'd be negligent if we didn't.
Yeah,
more.
And
I know
because look, everybody else is talking about it. We might as well too. Y'all watch the Bears-Chiefs game this weekend? I did. Y'all a Bears fan or Chiefs fan or either one of those, or you like the 180% of additional 12 to 17-year-old girls that tuned in. I think the Chiefs, they gained a lot of fans recently, and probably their percentage of female fans has probably skyrocketed, since Sunday. But look, I will say I'm a long-suffering Giants fan, and by long-suffering, it really means since 2010, give or take. But I 85, 80. I don't want to hear that. We still live. On 85.
See, that's the nice thing about only having a franchise that's like 27, 28 years old. I only have 28 years of misery with like two decent ones in between that ended in heartbreak.
Yeah. All right. So I've got to ask, because this is the weird thing. So we saw a 400% increase in the sales of Travis Kelce jerseys.
Yeah.
Does having that additional attention bring anybody else to the hobby?
No.
Are we going to see that, that 180% increase in 12 to 17-year-old girls starting to collect football cards now too?
No.
Or are they just tuning in to see Taylor Swift? And at some point, when is Panini going to release a card of Swift and Kelce together?
Or
somewhere.
Tops Now. I wouldn't be surprised if you saw some on Tops Now. I mean, who knows? But what do you guys think? And then I'll give my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, look, I would say, obviously over the last couple of years, we've seen, run up in non-sports cards as well, right? So entertainment cards. I saw, by the way, on the show floor, I saw a lot of Jay-Z rookie cards, which I really haven't seen too much of before. I was even actually talking to someone about Taylor Swift, and I won't say his name because I don't want to sort of ruin his his sort of cornering the market on Taylor Swift rookie cards. But he actually was saying he's been buying up a lot of Taylor Swift rookie cards. So
Does she have cards?
She does. Yeah, she does.
Now, yeah, she does. Now, I will say the guitar that was signed was one of the bigger show pieces, at least on our side of the floor at the National this year, where we were on, over near where the autograph pavilion and the second corporate area was, opposite from you guys. There was a big signed guitar in a massive case, and it was viewed by thousands of people, and they had to eventually even take it down because it was causing so much attention. Now, of course, Jared from Gemmin ended up buying it, but
did he really?
Yeah, he bought it the whole time and kept it a surprise from Madison because his niece wanted it really bad, and so he kept it a surprise and bought it on day one because it was crazy cheap. But they had to take it down because it had so much attention. So, I just don't see. I mean, I want to know what Denny thinks too, but I just don't see it in the hobby. Like maybe Taylor Swift cards, but not Travis Kelce.
Yeah. So I will admit I only saw the scene or the shot of Taylor, being like LFG, like in the suite and all that.
Yeah.
I was privy to the wonderful game of the Packers coming back versus the Saints, which was insane. I can't believe that actually happened. But I did miss the actual game, the Chiefs versus the Bears. That said, I think that cards, it's interesting when we think about 10xing the hobby or whatever xing the hobby it is, I feel that it makes me wonder whether it is like this, I was talking earlier about being a hoarder, like, genetically, or like, are some of us just so predisposed to this collector gene and not just collecting cards, but just amassing things. And it makes me wonder, like, for some people, they might want to buy the jersey to wear it almost like a fashion item, but they won't get into collectibles themselves. Whereas it's funny, some of us who are in the collectibles with the trading cards are like, I will pay thousands of dollars for this little swatch of a patch or a relic in a card, whereas I could spend, half of that and get the full jersey. It's kind of funny. There's a dichotomy in that regard. But for me, I think that the biggest question that no one has asked is, who is Jason Kelce going to? I don't know if he's married. I'm sorry if he is, but Travis's brother. I mean, is he going to be going after like? I don't even know who's eligible.
No, I think he is married. I think he is married.
Yeah, he's married
because he was talking about Travis being like the greatest uncle in the world.
Yeah.
To his kids and bringing his head. But what we need to do? We need to bring back real music. We need to bring back stuff like this.
Well, East Coast, West Coast. I mean,
there you go.
Panini needs to redo this set again, because this was a solid.
I'm down.
I don't even remember where they came from. I've been sitting on them for years.
Fellas, I listen to you guys more as a podcast than the video, but this is going up as a podcast too, right?
Yes.
So yes. Scott, what Scott just showed up on the screen was two cards. One was a card of vintage collectors, and the other one was a card of ultra modern collectors. East Coast, West Coast rap battle, right?
Yeah, it was actually the Panini HRX Tupac and Biggie cards from 2013. Nice. I just don't remember what these may have come from, like a Father's Day pack, or
it was something like that.
Something along those lines. And like, I've been sitting on them forever. And we just need something like that to get our mind off the whole
real music. Shots fired, Scott. Ooh.
Actually, and I'm not even a big rap guy. I'm more of a New Orleans rock and roll kind of guy, and it's like,
oh man,
but I appreciate the old school.
Please help me understand what is New Orleans. I mean, like Treme, I remember was like a great HBO, and the whole New Orleans, the hurricane.
Now you want to know? Okay, if you want to get a good idea of what New Orleans rock and roll is about, go check out a band called Cowboy Mouth.
Okay.
And if you can see them live, probably the greatest live band I've ever seen in my life.
Really?
That is the epitome of New Orleans rock and roll, right there.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, I've been to New Orleans. I saw John Butte, but I mean, I haven't.
I love
Ezra.
John Butte.
Oh, so good.
Just on the topic of Taylor Swift cards, actually, some have actually sold for almost staggering sums. I guess probably not that staggering if you compare it to some, a Jordan Love card, for instance. But there's some up there that have sold for tens of thousands of dollars. I mean,
absolutely. And I was actually going to bring up on that topic, like the one thing I could see where you were talking about, like the female demographic, I could see, like I said, if they start making Taylor Swift cards, if they put Taylor Swift relics or something in, I don't know, Allen and Ginter or, whoever ends up making the product, Topps, Panini, whoever. I could see people chasing those autos, relics, things like that. 100%. I think they would be product chasers, like you said, Ezra, like Pop Century cards. If Leaf had her in Pop Century, it would be massive. Those boxes would sell for thousands in Pop Century. And so, I mean, I could easily see it. It's just a matter of, okay, let's be honest. We all know. I mean, I don't even remotely know. I couldn't name 5 Taylor Swift songs, but I could tell you right now, I already know her, relationship type of history. So, I mean, is this going to last until, their bye week, or is this going to be something that goes, to the postseason? What's the over under on the bye week to the postseason on how long she's even,
Well,
dating?
I'm giving it. I don't know. See, here's the thing. So I'm thinking this may go till the end of the season, but the bottom line is Taylor Swift could be performing in my bathroom, and I still wouldn't go. I care about her that much. But I just want to point out, I decided to grab my phone because our buddy Blake decided to, second my comment, about Cowboy Mouth. So I noticed my daughter has been sending me text messages since we started the show.
Okay.
And I just want to point this out because, in big capital letters, it says the first one is not Trump. No way I just turned it on and you were doing Trump. What? She goes, that's the number one thing you can do to embarrass your teenage daughter. No,
there you go.
This is the number one thing you can do to embarrass your teenage daughter.
There you go. Yeah.
And then of course,
a little tip for your daughter. Don't send your dad those messages because now he knows.
Yeah, and evidently she is walking down here, and I am. She has a sign written that says, "I am an awful person."
Oh my God.
That is just great.
Well, on that note, I want to bring in another one of our guests tonight, guys. This is just kind of a walk in and out show. So if you have anything you need to do, feel free. To come and go at any time tonight, all of our guests, but do want to bring in for probably a record number on the show, someone I always love having on this show and am grateful for since the very beginning, one of our first guests on the show. Glad to have him on the 200th, Mr. Tracy Hackler. What is up, dude?
Gentlemen, how are you all?
Doing good.
Doing great. Welcome to episode 200.
Yes.
Yeah, congratulations, man. That's a big milestone for you guys. You guys have been doing good work from the beginning, and I've been able to be a small part of it. Always enjoy coming on and look forward to the next 200.
Well, appreciate that.
Yeah,
that.
Man.
Greatly. So we were actually right before you jumped on, we were talking Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. So
I heard Scott talking about the sign his daughter made, and when it was a great segue to awful person, and I'm like, oh, it's perfect. I'm going to come on right now. I'm going to come on perfectly. Yeah, the whole Travis Kelce Taylor Swift thing is taking the planet by storm, not just the NFL, not just the U.S., but it's a different level, man. Like I've been talking about it with my wife a lot about just how much she has increased Travis Kelce's profile. And before she came into the picture with Travis, he was one of the most popular players in the NFL. He's on all the commercials, good looking dude. Instagram was strong. His podcast with his brother strong.
Dude, he hosted Saturday Night Live.
I know.
I know.
It just speaks to the magnitude that we can't even fathom when it comes to somebody like Taylor Swift, who's probably the most popular human being in God's world right now.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, it's a little bit crazy what kind of attention, and of course it has to happen the week that they play the Bears.
Well, and I just heard, because it's the talk of everyone's, I'm sure everybody's work text strings and water cooler, if they still have water coolers, it's all the talk. But I just heard that she's going to be in New York for the Sunday night game this weekend. So if you thought to think what NBC's ratings might be after Sunday night, I mean,
it'll set records because the people didn't even know, and you saw the increase. I think 24 million or something people watched that random Sunday afternoon game. No, you put that on prime time and give an announcement she's going to be on. Oh yeah, that's
so. So this is what I want to know: if they're still dating at the time, and the Chiefs make it to the Super Bowl again, will she join Usher as a special guest for the halftime show?
Yes.
Man, that's a great question. If she dates Travis for that long, that could be a record for her, and they could be married by then.
Yeah, it could.
And that is a good point. Somebody posted a Twitter about it, and I guess they were very much not a Chiefs fan, and they said, I hope Travis breaks Taylor's heart and she wins a Grammy for the album that she writes about it.
Yeah,
nice.
Well, that's what Blake says. Whenever Taylor Swift's in another relationship, you might as well say she's in the studio.
There you go. Material, bulletin board material for her. But yeah, Mr. Hackler, I want to say it's an honor to be here. I mean, nothing against Ezra, Scott, and Drew, but I was like, I can't believe you guys are having him on and me on at the same. That's a huge mistake. But yeah, no more water coolers. It's all seltzer coolers now. It is
seltzer coolers.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. The honor is all mine, but go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Get here. This is crazy. Can I just say, speaking about ratings, and Drew did say the word that I was already going, prime time. I looked it up while we were talking. Deion Sanders is not married. He does have a girlfriend. He is in a relationship. But if they truly wanted to break the internet, you know where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
Break up with Travis. Yeah. Go to Deion. Go to those Buff. Let's go Buffs games. Yep. Deion. I'll just say right now, Deion and Taylor. Right now, I'm just planting the flag right now. Break the whole world.
I don't know if my brain can handle that.
The next album might be like 3rd and 20, or something like that. You never know. I mean, it could be.
That would be a good name for an album.
Yeah.
All right. So while we got everybody here, there's a whole litany of topics that we've wanted to talk about for a little while, and I kind of want to get everybody's take on this because in the last 2 weeks, we talked about it on last week's show when the first duplicate Superfractor popped up. And now we have a second one that popped up out of 2023 Topps Chrome. And this is a little bit different, like we said last week, than the 70th anniversary Superfractors from Formula One Chrome in 2020, because those were not serial numbered. And if you looked at the pack odds, it really did work out to like 2 of each.
Right.
These are serial numbered. So look, this is how little I care about Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. Is like I'm not even doing a segue. We're just going straight into something else.
Yeah.
But I kind of want to get everybody's take on this because I know what my feelings are. Drew, I kind of know what your feelings are.
Well, you will by the end of the show.
Yeah, exactly. But Tracy, Ezra, Denny, and especially Tracy, coming from a product development and product management standpoint, how big of a screw up is this?
Well, that's a good question. I don't want to talk about another company's mishaps, but I can just speak from the perspective of a Panini situation.
Right.
And like, it's very conceivable that it could happen. That it could, I mean, the truth of the matter is there's multiple versions of all 101s made, not quantity, but one or two in the event of a damaged card or something gets. And so it's not uncommon for someone to send a 101 back because it has a nick corner or something, and then we stamp it 101. In theory, the original gets destroyed, but there are some times when, because humans are involved, there are sometimes that it doesn't get destroyed. And the thought that those could be on the same production line being fed into packs at the same time is, I could see how that happens. I mean, anybody who's ever seen the production process.
Well, at Panini, you guys don't put that 1-of-1 stamp on the duplicate until it's exchanged.
Right. Yeah.
So in this situation, this had to have been put on at the factory.
Yeah. We would never number that, the extra one or two library copies of that card until one was sent in that was damaged or whatever else.
Now, knowing the production aspect of everything with these, the fact that, obviously 2 are now in there, if you saw this at Panini, if let's say, you saw 2 1-of-1 optic supers or something being pulled, what would in your thought process, would you assume that all of them got duplicated and got fed into that because it's all done, or is it done, or is it separated enough and done in different times where maybe others were caught and things like that? Like, what would be the assumption coming from you guys if this started to happen, let's say in optic, for example?
I think anytime something like that would happen, I think we would really do some due diligence and some active market tracking of what's actually surfacing. And usually if it's a widely broken product, chances are something else like that would show up in the run pretty quickly, and you can make some quick assessments. And our teams and the production facility guys and gals, we keep pretty detailed information on where things are in the run and what's being done at that point. So it's pretty well documented. So it would be not easy, but it would be painstaking, but you could go back and kind of backtrack and see maybe where something happened, how many might have been affected. So I don't think the immediate assumption would be, oh crap, the whole run's like that. I think the immediate assumption would be, oh crap, we got to get this one fixed and fine tooth comb the market and see if this is widespread or not.
Right.
Well, knowing that there would be a, call it like a library copy, replacement copy without a stamp, wouldn't it be easy just to go back and count the library copies?
That's
the
true.
ones that you knew you were holding, back. And if all of a sudden, let's say if it's Prism and it's, the black finite, all of a sudden you're missing all of the, the backup copies for those. Now you know that you have a problem somewhere.
Yeah, and we do that. What happens in a lot of cases is that once the product is printed, packed out, and shipped, the library copies may not come back to the facility for a couple of weeks or whatever. And so at that point, we would obviously exhaust all efforts to go over there, find out where these things are, and something's amiss. And our people have been doing this for so long that they're pretty quick to identify something just by the way it feels or looks. They can sense, oh crap, this is a big issue, or no, I think it's limited to 1 or 2 cards, and let's fix it and make it right. And then whatever that looks like, it might be a bigger issue than it even happening. Because I think what we've seen over the last 4 or 5 years, 6 years during the explosion of the market is that everybody's bandwidth is just maxed out, and because we're so so much volume is being produced, and it's moving so fast. So many new people coming in. We're trying to please all of them, and we all know when you try to please everybody, you end up pleasing that a lot. And so there's the fine balance there. But I think we've seen some mistakes happen, not out of negligence or malice, but more just out of effort, out of hustle. And you can overlook some of those finer things. Just ask the Denver Broncos. They gave up, and those are my guys, and they gave up 70 points over the weekend. So I think they're professional. I think they just maybe overlook some of the finer points en route to. So anyway, I'm rambling, which I'm pretty good at, but I think you've seen some of those mistakes. It's like when people used to be aghast at when a Fleer card would end up in a Topps pack, or like, oh, how could this happen? Now that's not good.
Yeah.
But
no,
if you see the process, you can see how it might happen.
Right.
Yeah, and people. Well, I think there's a common misconception that everybody uses different printers and different printing plants for the products, but the reality is no. The vast majority of the products are all printed in the same facility, regardless of who the manufacturer is. Which is how you wind up with a Fleer card and a Topps pack, and and it's legit. It's not somebody who resealed a pack or anything like that.
Correct.
It's usually a common. That's at least how it was back in the day. But you still have just a lack of knowledge of the process of how things are, which leads to people getting all bent out of shape. And now,
that's
especially, but now with social media, one bad thing happens to somebody, and all of a sudden it's blown out of proportion. Because of a lack of understanding of how things are done on the back end of the hobby versus, 30 years ago where you might have 10, 15 people that know about it. And then it never travels any farther than that. You don't see it as a front page story on this month's issue of Beckett, and it just dies.
Yeah.
In social media age.
Yeah. And that's kind of
it never dies.
Yeah.
So
hold on, Scott. Denny's got something.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I just wanted to add. I mean, in this day and age, again, I was just kind of talking about social media, and like we were talking about how people would never speak to you in person the way they speak to you online.
Yeah.
And I have definitely made jokes and memes and things like that. I want to just be very clear. Like, I'm not anti any company. I'm pro the hobby. Like, I'm pro Fanatics, pro Panini, pro Topps. Like, I just love cards. And so when I saw this happen, I do know, again, it's not my line of work, but I know that it's really imperative for companies to get ahead of the story. PR 101, control the narrative and things like that. And so I think what a lot of people that I've talked to recently about this whole Superfractor, 2 101s was, why isn't Topps just coming out with something, even if it's doing their due diligence and research? I think people crave, they crave authenticity and like response. Like, they don't want to feel like they're just screaming in a void, like they're in outer space. They just want to be heard, even if the answer is not good. I think people just want to know, like, look, remember the whole the Eagles jersey thing with Michael Rubin? Like, we messed up, like, we own that. And it's like, okay, that's great. We haven't, as far as I know, because I haven't checked in the last, like, say 12 hours, but like, as far as I know, there's still no response from Topps about what happened.
No, there hasn't. And Denny, I'm right there with you. And I kind of want to get everyone's opinion on this, but I think, as they continue to get more involved in the space, not only them, but in general, I think now more than ever, as the hobby has a bigger spotlight on it, more people are coming in, it's getting more intense than it's ever been. As someone that goes to shows every month, I can attest. Shows in Kansas City that last year were 1,000 people, were 10,000 people. I mean, it is growing, and it is growing big.
Well, we were all at the National this year.
Yeah,
saw that
exactly. And so, and I expect that record to be broken very quickly, possibly next year. And so, where we are, I think we're at a time, especially like you said, in the social media age, where collectors do deserve some transparency when it comes to this, especially when you see something like Superfractors, for example, that would sell for possibly $10,000, things like that, where people are spending hard-earned money on. I think when stuff like this needs to come out, if you're going to address mistakes for crooked jerseys that affected 300 people, that you should possibly maybe, also come out and say something to the tens of thousands of people that are spending $400, $600 on boxes, $10,000 on singles. Like that type of stuff needs to address. And I just think in general, outside of just this individual thing, I think there needs to be more transparency for people so they can understand how this happens. Because then eventually, if you do get out in front of it, eventually, hey, guess what? You don't have to address it as much because people understand a little bit more.
I'm just waiting for Topps to come out with a statement saying, something like, well, one of them is a new unannounced short print that's called the Superfractor. And, just look, it's going to be something like that. It's going to be, maybe Ruben will roll out Trump. Maybe it'll be something like, it's the Superfractor, and everybody who turns them in, we're going to make again. We're going to move it. We're going to make a wall. We're going to take them all. We're going to make a wall.
Daughter's
go
downstairs.
All the way from Texas to California.
Daughter's about to come back.
I hear, she's running down.
For it. It's gonna be.
She's gonna cut the internet.
Yeah. Actually, the router is upstairs.
Ezra,
next to the TV.
go ahead.
Look, I agree with everything that's been said, Denny. I think that's a great point, right? I mean, I think you're right. Like, if you're a company, especially in this social media age, and especially with a high-profile example like we have here, the one-on-one being two of them. Yeah, I mean, I think the consumer expectation and hope is that you'll get communication quickly. To play devil's advocate a little bit, not that I actually agree with this point, but just kind of throw out the other side of the coin. We just saw an example in the hobby fairly recently, not within trading cards, but in game worn memorabilia, with the Michael Jordan migrate response. Yeah. So when migrate comes out, they're under pressure, they're under flack, they're getting the whole Twitter firestorm, and they come out immediately, quickly, and they stand behind this jersey that we all know via cardboard and actually turned out to not be actually real. But here's an example where a company tried to be transparent. They tried to give a quick response, perhaps without knowing all the facts at the moment, and it turned out that probably bit them in the ass because their immediate response, which is to defend their authentication jersey, turned out to actually be incorrect. Right? So I see it from both sides. One is, as a consumer, you want a quick and fast response, you want clarity, you want transparency. But, it's possible that these companies, especially in a high-profile case like this, like it was for MyGray, they might be fact-gathering. They might want to respond once they have all the facts, once they know what the course of action. And I guess I throw it over to Tracy because I think we've been talking about, I'd be curious actually, like what if you were in the shoes, and I'm glad it's not you, but if you were advising. Sort of what is the proper response, or what would Panini do? What is sort of the manufacturer's duties, and how would you go about sort of rectifying the situation?
Yeah, you make some great points, Ezra. I mean, I was thinking those exact things as you guys were discussing it, and I think that is part of the solution. Is there are details that need to be researched, and because we've been on. I've been on the PR side of similar things, not this exactly, but things that went wrong and like, oh crap, what happened? And it does take time and you don't want to, like Ezra said, just blatantly come out immediately and say, we stand by it, we did nothing wrong. Well,
I agree with
something
that.
happened.
Well, but what would the harm be in coming out and saying, hey, look, guys, we understand this has gone on. We're going to research and find out what's going on.
And that's what we've done.
Wrong. Yeah, but that allows you to make a quick response without taking one side or the other, and just giving people, hey, just the thought that, hey, we're looking into it.
Well, you call them the storm.
We're going to find out what went wrong, and we're going to fix the problem, and we'll let you know as soon as we figure it out.
And that's what we've done on occasion is, look, we're aware of a situation that occurred with X product. We are researching all angles right now to find out what happened. And then what also happens a lot of times, especially in the case of a card like this, it's 1 of 1 or maybe it's 2 of 2, is because it is, and this is kind of a double-edged sword, so to speak, because you can work privately with the 1 or 2 collectors that have those cards,
right?
Get them and make it right or whatever. and then not necessarily blast out to the public, here's what we did. We found the problem. We fixed it with the individuals, depending on what the severity of the issue is. I mean, you can do that too. That's not necessarily transparent, and you don't bring the whole Twitter world into your scope. And does that erode some consumer confidence? Maybe. But I think that's also another way that you can handle it.
Well, going back all the way to episode 11, I think it is, or 12 on this show, when we actually did our first breaking news segment with Steve Grad, where he actually broke the Dak Prescott situation with the Prism from a while back. One thing I think, looking at that and looking at this, that was handled with incredible transparency. That was, the entire process, all the way down to getting the authentication sticker on, finding out exactly which parallels it came from, where they came from. That was all documented and updated, and kept collectors involved. And I think, that's more, what I'm hoping that we start to see more of. I don't want someone to come out, like you said, Ezra, and you made a great point with May Gray, coming out, and BBCE, kind of did the same thing a while back, went and stood behind something and then turned out, maybe shouldn't have done that. So I understand completely not coming out immediately, but like Scott said, I think acknowledging that, there's an issue, and then then doing that due diligence. I think it's something that collectors are owed it right now when they're spending the money they're on. I mean, and where this hobby is right now in relation to price points, the economy, everything like that, people that are spending their hard-earned money on this stuff, I think do deserve those answers. So,
Drew, can I ask you the Dak Prescott thing? That was the auto pen situation,
yes,
right?
That was the auto pen situation, which is all Jerry Jones' fault. And just for anyone that doesn't know, I recommend you. No, it is, and I'll tell you why. Steve Grad confirmed it. It's you go listen to the episode. It's great. He drops a lot of information on it. It's like episode 12, very early on. But Jerry Jones gives all of his quarterbacks an auto pen. There are Troy Aikman auto pen Topps autos that are out on the market still. It's been going back since before Aikman. He gives all of his quarterbacks auto pens. All of Tony Romo's male autographs were auto pens. It's a Cowboy thing. If you're a Cowboy quarterback, he wants that hand for throwing a football, not writing your name apparently.
Well,
you should be spending all your time watching game film and not signing autographs. So
so
kinda way it is.
Can I just add, we have industry titans here, and I'm sure they have great teams around them, and they have, I guess what I want to say with this whole coming out with a quick response. Yeah, for me, it's not going one way or the other, just buying yourself a little time, just saying, hey, we're looking into it. Maybe, a lot of people don't like to say the S word, sorry, and I apologize, but just acknowledging that something happens, because like Mr. Hackler said, you have two people who are aggrieved, and trying to deal with it privately would be a good way to do it, but it wouldn't appease the masses. It's almost like, here are the two people that got into a car crash, but everyone is driving by just bottlenecking and watching the crash. You want to make sure those two people are taken care of, but all the people are like, well, what's happening, or what's, I'm the one, and it's all about me. And it's like, yes, you're buying the wax, but this, it only happens to a very, very, very small few number of people. But having said that, I mean, I'm thinking about the situation where, if Ezra and his team, or, you come out, hopefully you don't have to come up with this type of situation, but you're playing devil's advocate. And as we know, from the movie Devil's Advocate, lawyers, they muck everything up. Lawyers are terrible. But I would imagine legal teams being like, please don't come out with that statement. I don't know Mike Gray and their legal team, but again, you want to make sure that what you say is ironclad. And I'm certainly not advocating things to be said prematurely, hey, acknowledge no wrongdoing or anything like that, because what's the classic saying that happened with the BBCE and the Pokemon with Jake Paul? It's like, oh, we were all duped, and here we have two dupes of 101.
Look,
I mean, possibly more.
Yeah, I think what Scott I think Scott's approach was spot on, right? You could acknowledge that there's clearly an issue everyone's talking about. You can acknowledge that you're aware of it, you're investigating it. And then, I think I wouldn't jump to conclusions before we had all the facts, and and we knew what we were going to do about it. But I think there's definitely a fine line to strike, which is acknowledgement, awareness, transparency around that, and then once you have all the facts and you know what action steps you're going to take, that's when you really come out. With confidence.
Yeah, Ezra's spot on. I mean, we've dealt with some of these situations, whether it's the God rest his soul, the Kobe Bryant autographs where we didn't have enough, and Mosaic, how the Mosaic product was even born was kind of a response to a product that didn't perform so well. And I think in all those cases, we may have been slower to come to the table with here's what happened. But I think when we did, we said, here's what happened. And also here's how we're going to make it right. And I think I wasn't championing the handle it privately, Denny. I don't want you to think that. I just was giving you an example of how some companies might want to handle that. And but yeah, I think Ezra's spot on.
Yeah, no, I think the Kobe auto was a little bit different because obviously that was a sudden thing, completely unexpected.
Now, I will say the Mosaic being born though turned into a wonderful thing. That was a pretty awesome accident from being something to just appease collectors, turning into what it turned into. It's pretty impressive. As I just opened some of the new product today, and it's really nice. Plus, you put Chris Johnson in it, so I have someone to chase this year. My ECU boys back in there, so I love that.
And I think it underscores one simple fact. And Ezra, I know you can appreciate this. All of us can. Crisis PR sucks, no matter how you slice it. If you have to do crisis PR, it just sucks. I'll just say that.
All right, so now that we got that out of the way, I want to talk about something a little happier, or maybe not happier, more informative.
Yeah.
So the card manufacturers, and this is straight at Tracy. The card manufacturers, whether it's Panini, Topps, Upper Deck, Leaf, pick one, you guys all get a lot of crap because but I think a lot of that is people are uninformed as to what actually has to go into designing and manufacturing a specific product. So given that since your return to Panini, you've been in product development, I kind of want to take a few minutes and, just let's be informative here, because there is an insane amount of work that goes into the back end of producing a product from start to finish. Can you walk us through the process of everything from design all the way out to pack and ship?
Yeah. So I started my career at Beckett, and the first 3 days I was at Beckett for 5 years before I transitioned to Donruss on the PR marketing side. And I was at Donruss for about 3 days when I realized what it took, the magnitude of the job at hand to get just one product out the door. I felt like if everyone could walk a week in a card manufacturer's shoes and see just how difficult it is. I know we're talking about trading cards and the pieces of cardboard with ink and athletes on them, but man, the levels of scrutiny and approvals, both internally and externally, things you can do, things you can't do, the sheer timeline of being 8 to 12 months out for any given product. There's so many things that go into making a product. And so I already had this real appreciation for the task at hand. And it gave me a whole new perspective. And for anything I ever wrote at Beckett that could have been critical of an error card or a mistake, or why didn't you have this player in, and all that, I immediately felt a little bit of remorse, like I had no idea. And so I've had the luxury of seeing both sides of it. But since going back to Panini in a product development role, which is a role I'd never worked in until April, it's even more mind-blowing what is involved in crafting a product from start to finish, even ones that have clearly defined blueprint like Prism or Contenders, like those, we know what those are going to be every year, but getting them off the ground in any given year and creating the checklist and working with the design to make sure it's a little bit different but real similar, and getting our autograph requests in so our acquisitions team can go get autographs, and the designs come back and we're all approving and tweak this, and this is not good, do this different, and then it goes back and it gets reworked on, and all that time the production department's talking to the production facility about when can we fit it on. And man, it's I know it's trading cards and it's fun, it's a hobby for a lot, it's also a livelihood for a lot more than it used to be. It's a really detailed process that takes, one product could take 9 to 10 months. And then think about our product development guys, not me because I'm new at this, but guys who've been making products for years, like they work on a product and then they don't see the results for another 8 or 9 months. And somebody comes back and says, well, how did this air card make it in? And they're like, what product is it? They're like, whatever, Score. They got to go all the way back to a year's worth of paperwork to find out what the proof said. It's just, there's so many little things like that. And then the leagues, I mean, you can do anything, everything that you want to do, you can nail it and get a new design, and everything's approved internally, and you submit it to the leagues and they're like, no, that's not good. Or why do you have this? And this needs to be like, so then it goes back. And then it's a lot of that, a lot of back and forth internally and externally. And it's
there is an element of league approval as far as the design elements go.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Now, I know there's league approval, as far as their use of logos and team names, things like that. But I didn't realize that they had that big of an input in the design as well.
No. Granted, most of the time they're fine with the design. They're looking at other things, the spelling, the legal marks on the back.
Okay, all right.
But if they wanted to say, hey, can you change this design? Can you change this insert name? That insert name it's not necessarily a good insert name for our players or whatever, right? That happens quite a bit. And we go back and then we have to trademark search insert names. And is there a trademark on it from the whatever industry? And there's just so many things that a lot of people don't think about. That a number of times I've heard someone say, man, you should have used that photo with blood all over his jersey. Or his teeth knocked out.
Yeah.
And we can't. We would love to do that, but the leagues won't let us do that.
I would have loved to have seen a card with Nolan Ryan with the bloody jersey and after beating the crap out of Robin Ventura. That would have been excellent. So from that standpoint, so product like Contenders, since you brought that up, because it's relatively consistent from year to year with a couple of design tweaks. How are you determining which players are going to wind up as sticker autos versus which players are going to wind up on card?
I think we try, the foundation for on-card rookie signatures, as y'all know probably, is the rookie photo shoot class. And who's at the rookie photo shoot? And those are kind of our 40 or 42 on-card guys, RPS guys.
Yeah.
And then, so those are no doubt about it.
I just put 2 and 2 together. That's what RPS stands for. Rookie photo shoot.
Yeah.
How did I not? I've been doing this for so long. How did I not put that together?
And that's not even the right acronym because it's the NFLPA Rookie Premier, right? But everyone calls it RPS autos or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's but as the season progresses and you see certain players start to break out, or you have the chance to get another on-card form designed and printed, because obviously those take a lot more time, which is kind of why stickers became a thing in the first place. Is you buy yourself a little bit of flexibility and time by having them sign a sheet of stickers that you can put on a card. And because back when stickers first started 20 some odd years ago, it wasn't uncommon for players to lose their cards, not send them back, and then we got to remake them. But anyway, I'm not espousing the beauty of stickers. I'm just saying that that's why a lot of times you see them. And then as the bigger players start popping up throughout the season, if we have time to create another or find spots on a form. So if the cards are on a 100 up form, if you ever hear that term 100 up form, there's 100 spots on the form.
Right.
So you may have an insert that only takes up 50 of those spots. Well, you got 50 other spots that you can put 25 contenders guys on and guys from another product if you need to. But it's the bigger rookies and the guys that we still have time to impact that aren't big at the beginning of the season, but come on like a Puka.
Exactly, yeah. Denny, it looked like you had a question.
No, I am so fascinated. I love being part of this and just being here and listening to Mr. Hackler. I mean, I guess my question, I didn't have giving the opportunity, I'll ask. So I'm guessing that you don't always invite the last pick of the last round, Mr. Irrelevant, to your RPS every year.
No,
Brock Purdy.
No, we don't. And that's also even the NFLPA rookie premier list is usually a combination effort between the Panini product development folks and the NFLPA folks. And so, but I think what we've tried to do in recent years is get more, at least a little bit more defensive presence. Those guys, obviously, we all know they don't sell for as much or even at all in some cases, but we want to kind of be more representative of the league and the young breakout stars. And you never know if an Aaron Donald's in that mix or like Nick Bosa absolutely should have been there, and he was. And
I will take all of the Luke Van Ness autos that you want to send my way.
Well,
happy to do that.
Well, Tracy, on that note, there's actually something I wanted to ask you about because I opened some of the 2023 Mosaic today, and one thing I did notice was the checklist. Some of the guys that I was pulling this year were a lot of names that I've not seen in cards. I think there's a good probably 15 or 20 of them that I haven't seen in maybe 10 years on cards. Like a lot of throwback old school NFL legends and things like that. Was that a calculated choice? Is that something, like that you're looking to do a lot more moving forward, or was that just kind of what you wanted to put in Mosaic this year?
No, I think that's a purposeful decision. We obviously you can get the superstars are obvious and the rookies are obvious. Those guys are going to be on every checklist, but it's guys like that I'm 53, so I'm probably the oldest one here by far. But the players that I grew up watching and collecting in some cases, they leave the limelight for 20 years or so, and then you bring them back. And I always really admired when I would see a checklist that had, and you can take your pick, but Al Toon or Mark Gastineau or Vance Johnson, guys that I grew up like watching, that they didn't necessarily all benefit from the modern card technology. And we know they have cult followings, and not everybody wants a Billy White Shoes Johnson Mosaic card, but man, a lot of people do. And
I found a couple today that I'm definitely grabbing cards of. That was kind of why I brought it up, because I was happy to see Chris Johnson. I was happy to see a couple other players from the 90s and 80s that I just hadn't seen in modern products that much. And so it was just interesting as I opened the box.
And what I've seen happen with my own eyes at like shows and shops and stuff is a kid will pull a card of Chris Johnson, say Dad or Sir or Mom, who's Chris Johnson? And you're like, it's, you don't know Chris Johnson. He's a speedster, 2,000 yards. It's also a history lesson. And it sounds hokey and corny, but man, that's one of the great deliverables of sports cards anyway, is no matter what technology it's on, if it's the pulpy bad cardboard of yesteryear or Mosaic technology, man, there's so many valuable assets to collecting than just what it's selling for. And I think that's another example of those. I know that's corny and a bit old fashioned, but it's
I agree.
It's why I collect.
No,
yes,
same here. My wall is not full of $20,000 cards behind me whatsoever. I mean, there's a couple of very, very nice ones, but it's full of East Carolina players, my old neighbor Chris Johnson. Lots of just random small stuff, and it's because it's the stuff I love. It's the stuff I want to collect, and so absolutely, it's not hokey, corny, anything. I think it's dead on what part of this hobby and the strongest part of the hobby and kind of the backbone of it is.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so we were all at the National, and I'm pretty sure I was the only one that saw this in person.
Yeah,
and Tracy, I got to ask you about this. I went over to the Panini booth,
okay,
and I was looking for you because I hadn't seen you yet at that point. And one of the guys said, "Oh yeah, he's over there." And I look over there, and I didn't see him. And I said, "I don't see him. He's not there. He's not over there." And all of a sudden, he just points up, and there you are, sitting on top of the scaffolding of the booth. I mean, that must have been like 50 feet up in the air.
Mm-hmm.
You had to have climbed the scaffolding to get up there, and you had a microphone in your hand. You know,
Yep.
you were doing it was a Pack Wars or something like that. You were doing from up there. Are you insane? What was the thought process to be like, oh yeah, I'm not going to stand on a chair or anything. I'm just going to climb the scaffolding 50 feet up in the air. And
clearly, Scott, there was not a lot of thought that was put into that. But so I started doing that like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, because we would do box wars multiple times a day, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. But one of the big box wars on Saturday, the winner would get a Panini VIP party ticket. And so that would always bring the biggest crowd. And I could never get a really good shot of the crowd because I'm 5'8". And so, doing this with my phone, I get like 3 more heads or whatever. So I think Kevin Hake said, dude, you should climb up there and get a picture from the top. And I'm like, man, that's a good idea. And the way Kusi builds our booth, it's like almost knock on wood. It's indestructible. So I said,
it's built right.
Yeah, they do a good job with that.
Yeah.
So I started climbing, and I took a picture of that first year, and I just kind of kept doing it.
Nice.
But this year is funny. So I forgot for a second about social media, and so I think one of my Panini coworkers took a picture and put it on Snapchat or IG Reel or something, and my phone starts blowing up right after Box Wars is over, and she goes, "What?" And it was my wife.
Yeah, I was about to say it was your wife. Your wife was probably the one getting all bent out of shape.
Sent me a picture. And she said she sent me the picture, and then immediately said, "What the hell is this?" And I'm like, "Oh." I was like, "Oh yeah." She goes, "Were you tied off, or did you have a harness on you?" I'm like, "No, I didn't." And she goes, "Were you higher than 6 feet?" I'm like, "Yeah, I was a lot higher than 6 feet." And I said, "I probably won't be doing this next year, huh?" And she goes, "No, you won't be doing this next year." So,
no. You will be doing that next year because it's kind of tradition at this point, I guess.
Yeah.
But somebody's gonna bring you a harness.
Yeah.
But the picture's great. The picture that you get from that view is. But then I started thinking, because again, I'm not the smartest guy in the room, in any room I'm in. We just have a drone. Just put a drone up there. It's fine. So next year.
Yeah, but there's a lot of places that you're not allowed to fly a drone above people.
Yeah.
And so you got to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
So you may not.
I think the Tracy scaffold picture is just the way we're gonna have to go.
Yeah.
We'll just get you a harness for the wife.
That's what I'm
I'll
thinking.
do it. I'm gonna do it again then.
A pregnant Rihanna at the Super Bowl halftime show can't have all the fun. Mr. Hackler has to have some fun.
Yes.
As well.
Absolutely.
I think that's I love that. I just wanted to also mention when I have done some reels on social media where I'm at a red light, and it's genuinely a red light, and I got to say the traffic in the DC area is terrible, but my wife, the voice of reason, was like, I've seen enough of this. We are done with that. And you will not be. So if you see me doing that, I'm in front of my house or parked somewhere. But the red light rips was very short lived. My wife was like, no, you're not doing that.
More.
I was like, man, you should have seen the content I really wanted to make where I'm like, where I have the phone outside of the car and I'm it's just like, don't do that. But can I just say the Mosaic, the base, this is just out of base 1 through 250. I looked at the checklist. I won't make this into a guessing game. I'll just move it along real quick. But there are 3 teams that have 10 players in the base 1 through 250, not including National Pride and the autos. 2 of them you would know really well. Cowboys, Steelers, right? Makes total sense. A lot of great players throughout the years. The Vikings have 10 players.
Mm-hmm.
And then I looked on the complete opposite end of the spectrum. I was like, who has the least? May come as no surprise. The Texans, the Cardinals, and I am sorry to say, and I'm not trying to rib you here, Drew.
Oh, no, I know. I knew we
Panthers,
were coming. Yeah, I knew we were coming.
5.
Yeah.
But no, fascinating. I would love to see. I will help with the harness if possible to get you up there, Mr. Hackler.
Can I, speaking of Mosaic, and this is real dorky too, and all the guys at work are giving me a hard time about it, but so before a product will release, we have to do QC of 1 or 2 cases, depending on the SKU, if it's retail or all the different retail SKUs and fast break and all. It's not fast break on the football side, but
yeah.
And so we'll get cases and rip them and make sure everything's dropping as it should in that particular SKU. Well, so we were doing that with Mosaic Choice, I think last week, or one of them, and it has the Touchdown Masters insert in it.
Mm-hmm.
And Touchdown Masters the last 3 years, it didn't dawn on me until this year's, as I was doing QC, that the Touchdown Master has the oversized head on the regular body, and they are so dorky, but I've fallen in love with them.
Yeah.
So I'm building the 23 set. In the last week I've gone on eBay and I've bought the entire 22 set. I'm going to do the 21s too. But if you get a chance, just Google Mosaic Touchdown Masters and see.
Oh, I love them. I've always loved them.
So
I think they're great, man. They're one
so
of my favorites in Mosaic.
That's so funny. I love it.
So yeah, the Touchdown Masters.
Yeah, Touchdown Masters.
Yes.
This is 2022, not 2023, but it's
the big head ones.
But his head's oversized.
Yeah. His head is oversized.
Yeah.
Oh, it is funny. Real action photography
again. Let's see. Yeah. Actually, Debo's head on this. Oh, that's Thunderlane.
That's Thunder. It's
wrong.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
I love that. It's so cheesy and funny. It's awesome.
Looks like Pop Warner.
Yeah, exactly. It does look.
Oh my gosh, they look like a little kid.
They're so.
I never really noticed the jumbo head until just now, but I love it. I never really paid that much attention.
There's the Devo.
Yeah, the thing I've talked to our design team about was like, it's almost like our design team was like, well, you want us to do what? And so they were kind of ashamed to do it like full out. So next year I'm going to champion trying to get the head just a little bit bigger,
even bigger.
It looks even funnier. So funny, dude.
Yeah, fortunately I had a 800 count box of 2022 Mosaic sitting right behind me, so it's like, all right, let me grab those out and talk about Touchdown Masters.
I love it.
Perfect.
I love it. Scott's always on it.
Yeah.
So,
all right, guys. So, well, we'll talk for a little bit longer here. Thanks everyone for tuning in. If you have any questions for any of us or the guests, please let us know in the comments. If any of y'all do need to take off, I know we're past the hour and everything. Just let us know.
It's too much fun. Too much fun.
I love it. I love it.
This is too much fun. It's been.
Well, I greatly appreciate all of you guys joining and everyone tuning in and everyone listening, of course, at home. But let's one thing I wanted to ask Tracy, and I want to preface this with, this really the only, while we're on product development, from a product development standpoint, and this is really the only side of this that I want to tackle this from and discuss right now. But with everything that's going on, I noticed that Plates and Patches is releasing this week. From a product development standpoint, with everything that is going on, obviously with NFL and all that, and I don't want to get into that side of any of that tonight. But from a product development side, are y'all still working through football and things like that and doing the designs as if you're going to continue, or has that kind of been put on pause, or is there anything you can say on that?
All I can tell you is that we are heads down, full speed ahead, working on what we need to work on.
Beautiful.
Yeah, we're not. I mean, we go in every day and we're looking at football things and basketball things. We're looking at everything. So
awesome.
Yeah, I'll say that.
Good deal. Yeah. Good to know, because and I like what I see from plates and patches. It looks like y'all brought in a little bit of elements this year with the middle card. Yeah. I like that. Yeah. I like the little fusion. It seemed like such a perfect mix and mashup, but I never really even thought about it. But I saw the steel signatures on the product preview earlier today, and I like it.
And those are other things like about product development that you don't always think about, is like when a product doesn't perform well or it doesn't perform as well as you think it should. I mean, Panini has a long history of being loyal to brands and giving them room to breathe, and not just one year it's this, the next year it's this. And so I think a lot of times tough decisions have to be made of, we love this product, but maybe it didn't do as well as we wanted. What can we take from that product and blend seamlessly into something else? And I think that's a perfect example. I don't know exactly why Elements is not around, but right. I know that was a big part of Elements, and putting that into plates and patches just seemed like a perfect fit because it's a metal plate. And yeah.
Well, Michael McManus has a good question here in the comments, and I'm kind of curious about this as well. And it's why isn't there 101 plates in plates and patches anymore? Because when it did start, you got the plates from Prism, things like that, where some of the chases, really the plates from a lot of big products all year long, would end up being found in plates and patches. Why did that, kind of go away? Was it just shifting focus of the product, or?
I would like to say that, but the short answer is I don't know, but I will endeavor tomorrow to find out. and let you know, Drew. You can pass awesome. Or Michael, I can hit you up on Twitter too, Michael. It's a great question. I don't know. But I'll find out. Awesome. I'm sure there's a good reason for it. I just don't know what that is.
Yeah. I'd kind of always been curious about that as well.
I think for me personally, like just looking at it from a collector's perspective, I think sometimes there's so much emphasis on plates for a long time because they're all 101s, but each card has 4 of them because it's CMYK, and I think maybe there's a chance that they were overdone and maybe they just weren't providing the kind of value that maybe initially a lot of people thought they would. I don't know. It's just me spitballing, but I'll find out.
Awesome. Good
All
deal.
Right. And Drew, so I know you kind of want to, you brought up something when we were talking before the show started about a huge trade that happened.
Yes, definitely. Before we wrap up the show, I wanted to get all y'all's opinion on this. Everybody on the panel tonight, since we've got a full house. I love it. Thank you guys so much again. But Damian Lillard to the Bucks. Big trade in the NBA. A lot of people moving. I think people are going to find out how underrated Drew Holiday is. I think people are going to find out how overrated DeAndre Ayton was. And what I'm most curious about is Damian Lillard's hobby market, because the Bucks, while they're not a big market team in terms of non-hobby in the NBA, when it comes to collecting, they obviously are. They've got Giannis, they're a championship contending team. They have a lot of hobby attention on them. So I think moving from Portland, which was looked at as a team that would make the playoffs, maybe knock off a team and then lose every year, moving over there, what do you guys think this does to the overall, Lillard market? And does it have effect on the Giannis market? I mean, what does this trade do? And what do you guys think about this trade and this fit in Milwaukee?
Well, I'll say as a very very long suffering Knicks fan here in New York, I'm upset about this because there's a lot of hope here in New York that Giannis was coming to the Knicks, and so I think what this trade does show is the Bucks are doing whatever they can to placate Giannis and to prove to Giannis that they're committed to building a winner. One interesting kind of hobby phenomenon that I've noticed, and I'd be curious if you guys have too. It doesn't seem like kind of the size of a market necessarily correlates with interest in collecting a player. I mean, you can look at baseball. Right. There's a lot of Baltimore Orioles, for instance, who are amongst some of the most highly coveted prospects. It's not a huge market, but it's the appeal of that individual player, or the position they play, all that stuff. Look, I think the immediate read through, and I've heard from a couple of people that it's good for Giannis, right? Because if the Bucks are relevant, the Bucks are winning. It's good for Giannis. As a Knicks fan, I'd prefer to see him in New York, but I'm speaking, purely, from a Knicks vantage point there. Sure. Lillard, I don't follow Lillard as closely, candidly, as I do Giannis, certainly. And but look, I think just as a basketball fan, I actually thought it was one of those very rare trades where I actually kind of liked it from all three teams' sides. I liked it for the Bucks.
No, I did too.
They got Lillard. They've got Giannis. They kept Middleton. I like that. For the Suns, I thought, yes, I think Aiden might be a better player than the guy they got, but it was just sort of an awkward fit.
I think Nurkic fits better than Aiden there. Yeah.
And and so I actually thought it was like a good NBA trade. I thought it made sense for all three teams. I wish Giannis came to the Knicks. Still possibly does. But I thought it was a good trade overall.
Yeah,
Denny?
I agree. Oh, go ahead, Denny.
Wow. I was gonna say please, Mr. Hackler, go, but after what Ezra just said like a true Knicks fan, just like holding on to that optimism.
Yeah,
he just got a legit running mate, and it's all you have. It's like, wow, you're still holding out hope. It's like Jim Carrey and Dumb and Dumber. Like, so you're saying there's a chance, a billion to one. I love it. I mean, especially as someone who grew up in Queens, New York, and just the Knicks. Just wow. I mean, we just got to hope for some more frozen envelopes, I think. But I say, when it comes to Dame, I mean, yes, there's the on-court and then there's the card market. I think we all know, like, especially in the NBA, like people. It's not about liking the teams. I mean, of course, if you're from the geographical area, but it's all about just the players, right? I mean, we all just gravitate towards wherever they are. We're just going to go root for them.
They all end up playing for half the league by the time they're done nowadays anyway. I mean, how many guys do you have that stay for 10, 12 years anymore? Maybe one in every 50. Right.
And Drew Holiday really is he's been so underrated for so long. I think he was finally getting his flowers, but it's just something about him. People, especially in like the card market, it's almost like he was like a Nick Bosa in a way, like a defensive player. You need players like that. I mean, arguably, he made the engine go for the Bucks. But I gotta say, like, speaking about underrated, like, what does Dame Dollar, what does he have to do to get more respect out of his name? Like,
that was my question, man.
I mean, he didn't have the best. I mean, it's crazy because I think his name is Neil O'Shea, but like the past Blazers GM was known to be so savvy and smart, but it's like it seemed like they put some good teams around him, considering that they were a small market team, but they just couldn't, especially in the last 2 years, of course, without making the playoffs. But like, they just fell off a cliff. I mean, it's like, man, that franchise. I talk about being a Knicks fan. Like, I know. I think the most notable person in the hobby who's a Blazers fan is, I think, Brian Pirrip, because he wears the Blazers hat. But like, talk about drafting. Going all the way back. I'm not even going back to the Odin time. I mean, yes, I'm gonna speak about Odin versus Durant, but they drafted what was it? Samson? Or no, geez, that was the Rockets. They
how about the fact that they took Sam Bowie?
That's what I meant to
Michael
say.
Jordan.
It was a total brain fart. But yeah, the number 2 pick, Sam Bowie. Like, it's like since that time. I mean, yes, at one point they had the big red machine with oh my gosh, big poofy hair, Walton. But like, they had Walton, they had Sabonis, but I mean, talk about a snake bitten franchise, really. And I hope Dame. I hope people really finally see Dame do some amazing things and get some hobby love, because that dude is he's like Mighty Mouse, like just so good, so small but so good.
I feel bad for the guys that sunk a whole crap load of money into DeAndre Ayton. Forget about Lillard for a minute there. I mean, Ayton, he's basically being sent from a contender into purgatory, and there's nothing that anybody can do about it.
Yeah, well, those people should be ashamed by them for collecting exactly in the first place.
Well, Tracy, what do you think about the trade and Dame's hobby, impact on this?
Yeah, I think it's gonna only increase his profile. I don't want to say that Giannis is Taylor Swift and Dame is Travis Kelce, but I think Giannis and the global magnetism that he has and the ring that he has, it makes other people collectible. Like, I mean, he kind of made Bobby Portis collectible for a little bit, and Dame is one of the probably, I don't know, depending on what you love about basketball, Dame's probably a top 10 to 12 talent in the league, maybe right now, 15. Dynamic and has a great personality, big presence, and just exciting as all hell to watch play and score, bucket filler. I think him going to Milwaukee, as crazy as it sounds, Milwaukee will increase his profile, which Milwaukee's not exactly the largest market in the world either. But Giannis commands attention, both from the basketball media, but also from the collecting universe too, because as he's been wanting to show, he's a big collector himself, especially of one-on-one cards, which that's a topic for another episode. But I think Dame is going to do really well in Milwaukee. I think he will. The thing I always wonder when big trades like this happen is how many people in Milwaukee are intimately familiar with Dame and who he is, what kind of game he has, that he's on commercials. Like, I don't know how much more he's how many new potential collectors and fans he gets by going to a new market. But I think the number is strong, and I think he'll do really well. And look, you guys know, I mean, you make your money in the basketball hobby by what you do in the postseason and on the championship level. And if he can get just one ring, let alone a couple, I mean, it's going to be crazy.
No, so you're saying there's a chance?
Yep. No, I agree.
I'd say there's a chance.
I think the ring is definitely something that that would kind of vault him to the top, and maybe get some of that hobby love that I think he's sorely missing, as he's been underrated for a long time, in my opinion. But I do see what you're saying, Tracy. How many more eyes, in the hobby can jump on him, especially as he gets older and more amazing rookies come in, as we see these ridiculous classes every single year, it seems, nowadays.
Yeah, no doubt.
Can I ask all of you, do you think it is partly has to do with being just like an undersized, like a great shooter, like the one exception I'm thinking about is like Steph Curry, right? But he's like the best shooter ever in the history of the NBA, right? And it's like he is the exception to the rule, almost. Like, again, who knows if it's a rule? I just want to posit this to all of you. It's like well, I guess a recent example would be like Trae Young, like not getting as much love as Luka. Like, you look at them and people love Luka, and not that he's even like super athletic, like, and he's kind of like slower and all that too, but it's like historically these I mean, go all the way back maybe to, I guess they're more past first, but like Isaiah Thomas, Joe Dumars, Stockton, go through the 90s. It's like Steve Nash didn't get a lot of love. I know some of these are point guards, more pure point guards and more assists and not as much scoring, but it's almost like the hobby, it's like these small undersized point guard or guards are like wide receivers almost, and then it's like, oh, we need the big imposing super dunker, the flashy high riser. Those are like the quarterbacks in ultra modern football. I don't know, what do you guys think?
Well, I thought that Trae Young was the best shooter in the NBA. Yeah. So I tend to agree because like I go back and like John Paxson, BJ Armstrong, guys from like my Bulls teams, and then I like no Hobby Love.
Del Curry. Speaking of Curry,
there's
Del
another
Curry,
one.
Glenn Rice. I mean, I could go down the list of guys that didn't get their credit. Larry Johnson, to an extent. I mean, he's not the shooter, but I mean,
Mr. 4-point play. I mean, but talk about the Knicks there, Knicks Pacers. But no, I mean, he was a small forward. When it comes to these small, like again, like there's a big difference between being a passer, assister versus like a scorer. But like, I just don't get what, like, again, I'll just ask the question again, just because I think it bears worth repeating. What more does Dame have to do? I know, yes, he can get the ring, but like from an individual standpoint, what more does this man have to show? I mean, he's like one of the most clutch shooters in the NBA.
Yep.
Ring.
Yeah, I think it's it.
That's it. It's ring.
I think that's it. Yeah.
I mean, that's what. It's not fair always. It's like Dan Marino didn't get the love that he deserved. Jim Kelly probably didn't get the love he deserved because, man, they couldn't win the big one. But when they do, and I think in the case of Steph, like he's a game changer. Like he really changed the way little small ball is played, and it didn't hurt that he was otherworldly from distance. And but I think look, I mean, his pregame warm-ups are probably some of the most viewed content on Twitter, and it's like it just makes no sense. But that's kind of the persona that he's earned himself, and I think a lot of that has to do with how many rings he has too.
It's true.
There's one other instance I could see Dame maybe getting a little more love. I just don't see it ever happening, and that, of course, is an MVP. Now, a scoring title, maybe, but MVP, now that he's on a team with Giannis, I think no matter what, if they're winning that much, I think Giannis is going to get the votes over him because, A, the NBA wants him as the face of the league, but also it's just, he's the guy that was there before. So maybe a scoring title where they end up, contending for a championship. Maybe that helps. But outside of that, I mean, I think really the only answer, and it's a great question, Denny, but I think it's just ring.
Just ring. Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, he could scoring title and MVP, but dude is just so, I mean, pound for pound, right? I'm just talking about a small guy. It's just one of the best. Just clutch and just also like a big thing is I correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he's really into the community and he's like one of these good for the city of Portland, and that goes under the radar. And I know that doesn't matter with card prices. I mean, I would love if it did because celebrate more good dudes and dudettes in sports. But I mean, Milwaukee's getting one heck of a good just great. I mean, yeah, I would love. I mean, I'm not gonna all of a sudden say like the Bucks are gonna win the title, although I think they went. I'm not a big gambler at all, but like their odds went. I don't know what they were, but now they're 4-1. They're one of the favorites to win. This next season. So we'll see. I mean, it's gonna be interesting. I mean, it's gonna be really weird to see him in green, but
it is.
I'm all for it. I mean, can't wait. I mean, just more NBA. That's my wheelhouse.
There we go. All right, y'all. Well, I think, we're about hour and 45 minutes or so. So I think we'll probably start to wrap up the show here. Went a little longer than we expected tonight, but that's because we had such an awesome panel and some great guests. Before we do leave, one of our awesome sponsors, Zion Cases, has their new, these nice little slab, almost fanny pack type of deals where you can hold the slab inside, also hold some money and a lot of other stuff. They're really nice. We're going to be giving one of these away to one of you guys. So we're just going to make it really simple. Share the video and like or follow us on Instagram. Share the video or share the post for episode 200 and we'll get you in. We'll pick a winner next Thursday. I think that's the 4th, I believe. So get those in now. We'll give somebody one of these awesome cases from our sponsors. I do want to thank our other awesome sponsors, Show Your Slab, Slab Strong, Denver Card Show, Stand-Up Displays, Game Time Sports Cards, and Treasure Hunter Sports Cards, and of course, iHeartMedia and Wax Pack. Could not do the show without you guys. But before we do wrap the show up, Scott, let's and everyone else, we'll start with you, Ezra. Let everybody know, where they can follow you at and everything and anything else going on that you'd like to get out to the masses.
Yeah, guys. Thanks for having us. It's a huge accomplishment, obviously, on 200 episodes. That's awesome. You can check out Mascot with mascot.com and follow us on all socials at with Mascot. And yeah, on our end, some big announcements as of late. Obviously today, our partnership with CGC. Very excited about that. Again, we created the fastest grade to sell across multiple platform journeys in the hobby. Really pumped with that, and also our announcement about the Philly show last week for the next Philly show. The first time ever this industry will have a real sort of ability to search in a digital form for all the inventory that's available on the show floor. So really excited about that. Check us out with mascot.com.
Nice. Next up, Denny, the superstar, the IG sensation. Denny.
So I apologize for not saying it earlier, but congratulations on 200 episodes. Wow. That's quite a milestone, and I'm only like 170 something behind you. So yeah, so I have a podcast, it's the Card Diary by Hobby S. Thompson, and I would love to have all of you on in some capacity. I have like these chapters, and right now I'm going through grading, and I won't go into detail about all that, but I hope people give it a shot because I love just learning. I have no sponsors, and that's okay. Right now I'm still trying to navigate the landscape, but again, it's either get sponsorships or be the janitor for CGC. So it's one of those two.
It is an amazing show, by the way, guys. I have fallen in love with it. By the way, the card name, I really wish I'd thought of it first. I love it. So
thank
great
you.
job there, but it really is an awesome show, you guys.
I really appreciate it. Thank you. But congratulations to Ezra with the actual genuine real partnership with CGC. Mr. Hackler, just an absolute pleasure. And, Panini really did a great thing by having you on board. Like, that's congratulations. Because I remember seeing a post on Instagram being like, big news coming. And I'm like, oh, we're getting him back. I remember him back when, in the blowout forums and the early days of Panini and all this stuff. And I was like, yes, I remember because I came back to the hobby, but this is my second time back. I collected from 2007 to 2012. And I remember the name, and I was like, yeah, definitely put respect on this man's name. So congratulations.
Yes, Tracy's journey has been heavily chronicled on this show, too. When he joined Kentucky Roadshow, he came on. Back to Panini now.
I will say, Tracy has forgotten more about this hobby than all of us could ever hope to even know.
Yeah.
So,
I agree there.
There's a reason I always refer to him as the Godfather because he's kind of he's the encyclopedia of knowledge for everything hobby related, and
him and Rich Klein.
Because I'm old. It's because I'm old. Rich is older, way older.
Yes, he is.
I better look at Rich too.
Yeah, about that, I just wanted to say, there are some people who, nothing against other people who say that they're the card father and all that, but we can have many card fathers and godfathers. I recently got some slack because I wanted to be the funkle or the uncle of the hobby. I will say it was a joke, but it wasn't taken very well received by some people. But I will say, we can have multiple mamas and daddies and godfathers and uncles and funkles and cousins and brothers, stepbrothers, right? Yeah, just more Will Ferrell content. But I gotta say, just it was a pleasure being here. Thank you for having me. And yeah, I do love the Instagram community more than all the other social media platforms online. So you can find me on IG at Denny_cards. But that's about it. Thank you guys.
Awesome. And Tracy, I think they know where they can find you, but let everybody know and anything you guys got going on coming up in the future.
Yeah, I just want to say to Ezra and Denny, it's great sharing the screen with you guys. I don't know that we've officially either met in person, but I've enjoyed getting to know y'all a little bit here and look forward to more opportunities in the future to do that. Denny, I'll come on your podcast anytime, bro. I'm, any last second fill-ins, rainy day guests, I'm your guy. And Scott and Drew, man, congratulations again on 200. And it's the first 200 of so many more 200. So
yes,
hopefully you guys will have me on again. If you want to find anything about Panini America, it's just at Panini America on social. Yeah. If you are really in a bad spot, you want to find out things about me, Tracy Hackler on Twitter and Tracy _Hackler on Instagram. But yeah, no, I love this industry, love the community. And just am always willing to be a part of it and to try to be a productive and positive ambassador for the hobby for as long as I'm kicking.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys so much, Ezra. I love what's going on with Mascot. It's absolutely blowing up. And Denny, like I said, the show's incredible. And Tracy, I know everyone is glad that you were back at Panini.
It's good to be back. It's good to be back. I miss those guys and gals.
I'm sure you did. Well, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to our special episode 200 celebration. And like Tracy said, it is the first of many. We will definitely be there for another 200 more and a whole lot more after that. But till next week, you guys know the deal. Keep ripping those packs, pulling those hits. We'll talk to you then. Peace.